Good day, everyone. Our topic for today is a question that has sparked debate among historians for over a century. Where did the cry of rebellion actually happen? So, while the date of August 1896 is generally accepted as the start of the Philippine Revolution, the precise location remains a matter of ongoing discussion and scholarly investigation. So we will explore the competing claims surrounding Bogadlawin, Kangkong, and other potential sites, examining the historical evidence and the interpretations that have shaped our understanding of this crucial moment in Philippine history. So let's delve into the details and attempt to unravel this enduring mystery. So before we start our discussion, let me read to you our learning objectives. At the end of the discussion, students will be able to analyze the underlying causes and consequences of rebellion, differentiate between various accounts and interpretations of the cry of Pugad Lawit, demonstrate an appreciation for the sacrifices made by Filipino revolutionaries during the Philippine Revolution by actively participating in the discussion. So, your participation and attention during this discussion will be the key to achieve our learning objectives. In the 19th century, momentous events swept the Spanish colonies, including the Philippines. So the 19th century witnessed a surge of momentous events across Spain's colonies, including the Philippines, culminating in the cry of rebellion. This period saw the rise of nationalist sentiments fueled by Enlightenment ideals promoting self-governance, coupled with widespread economic grievances stemming from exploitative colonial policies. The weakening of Spain's power, internal conflicts, and the inspiring successes of other global revolutions created an environment ripe for rebellion. The cry of rebellion, therefore, wasn't an isolated incident but a pivotal moment in a broader wave of anti-colonial movements challenging Spanish rule and ultimately shaping the destiny of its colonies. Journalists of the time referred the phrase El Grito de Rebelión or Cry of Rebellion to mark the start of these revolutionary events. So the newspaper reporters at the time used the phrase El Grito de Rebelión or Cry of Rebellion to describe the start of the Philippine Revolution. This phrase marked the beginning of the fight for freedom from Spanish rule, a pivotal moment when Filipinos openly defied Spanish authority. It symbolized the beginning of a war for independence. August 1896, northeast of Manila, where they declared rebellion against the Spanish colonial government. So in August 1896, Filipinos gathered northeast of Manila to publicly announce the rebellion against the Spanish government. This act of defiance, known as the Cry of Rebellion, marked the start of the Philippine Revolution, a fight for freedom and independence from Spanish colonial rule. Prominent Filipino historian Teodoro Agoncillo emphasizes the event when Andres Bonifacio tore the cedula or task receipt before the Katipuneros, who always did the same. So the first cry is a historical event where Filipino revolutionaries led by Andres Bonifacio tore their cedulas or their residence certificates, implicating that they have pronounced to refuse their enslavement with the Spaniards. So Um, Historian Teodoro Agoncillo highlights a key moment in the Philippine revolutions, which that Andres Bonifacio, the leader of the Katipunan, dramatically tore his cedula or task receipt in front of his fellow revolutionaries. So this act symbolized the defiance against the Spanish colonial rule, inspiring the Katipuneros to do the same. So the tearing of the cedula was a powerful statement of rebellion, signifying the rejection of Spanish authority and their commitment to fight for freedom. Emilio Aguinaldo commissioned an Hymno de Balintawak to inspire the renewed struggle after the Pact of the Biak na Bato failed. So after the Biak na Bato Pact didn't work, Emilio Aguinaldo wanted to restart the fight for freedom. So to encourage everyone to join again, he asked for a song called Hymno de Balintawak to be written. So this song was meant to boost the spirits of the Filipinos and remind them why they were fighting. It was a call to arms, a new cry of rebellion. So Hymno de Balintawak is a song to inspire the renewed struggle after the Pact of the Biak na Bato failed. A monument to the heroes of 1896 was erected in what is now the intersection of Epifanio de los Santos or EDSA Avenue and Andres Bonifacio Drive North Diversion Road. So, to remember the brave Filipinos who fight in the 1896 revolution, a monument was built where EDSA and Andres Bonifacio Drive met. So this monument honors the heroes of the cry of rebellion and the fight for Philippine independence from Spain. Starting 1962, the Cry of Balintawak was celebrated every 26th day of August. The site of the monument was chosen for an unknown reason. So, the annual commemoration of the Cry of Balintawak began in 1962, observed each year on August 26. However, the selection of the monument's location at the intersection of EDSA and Andres Bonifacio Drive remains unexplained. So the lack of a clear rationale for this choice adds a layer of intrigue to the historical narrative surrounding this important symbol of the Philippine Revolution. Starting 1962, the Cry of Balintawak was celebrated every 26th day of August. The site of the monument was chosen for an unknown reason. So, the annual commemoration of the Cry of Balintawak began in 1962, observed each year on August 26. However, the selection of the monument's location at the intersection of EDSA and Andres Bonifacio Drive remains unexplained. So the lack of a clear rationale for this choice adds a layer of intrigue to the historical narrative surrounding this important symbol of the Philippine Revolution. So the first picture is the Monument to the Heroes of 1986. So this is the one. In EDSA, located in Epifanio de los Santos or EDSA Avenue and Andres Bonifacio Drive North Diversion Road. Then the second picture is the Cry of Balintawak or Sigaw sa Pugad Lawin. So the next topic, which is the different dates and the places where the cry happened, will be discussed by Miss Basense.
Good day, everyone. So now let's move on to the different dates and places where the cry happened. So first is Lieutenant Oligario Diaz serves as an officer in the Guardia Civil, Spain's national police force, known for his dedication to maintaining law and order. As a Guardia Civil, he upholds strict discipline and is deeply committed to protecting Spanish citizens, often working in rural areas to ensure safety and security. So, Lieutenant Oligario Diaz identified the Cry of Balintawak as the site where Filipino revolutionaries first openly defied Spanish rule, marking a pivotal moment in the Philippine Revolution. His report helped confirm Balintawak as the place where Andres Bonifacio and the Katipunan tore their cédulas, symbolizing their break from Spanish colonial authority. So according to him, the cry took place on Balintawak on August 25, 1869. Next is Chidor Calao, was a respected Filipino historian, scholar, and nationalist known for his contributions to the study of Philippine history and his dedication to the preservation of national heritage. He wrote extensively about the Philippine Revolution and Spanish colonial history, promoting the importance of Filipino identity and independence through his works. So according to Filipino historian Chudor Calao, the cry of rebellion occurred in the Kangkong near Balintawak on the last week of August 1896, where Filipino revolutionaries gathered to declare their defiance against Spanish rule. Calao's research placed his historic event in Kangkong, highlighting it as the location where the Katipunan, led by Andres Bonifacio, publicly tore their cédulas, symbolizing their commitment to the fight for independence. So next is Santiago Alvarez, was a prominent Katipunero and revolutionary leader who fought against Spanish colonial forces during the Philippine Revolution, known as the Kidlat ng Apoy or Lightning of Fire. He was recognized for his bravery and strategic leadership, particularly in battles in Cavite, alongside other key figures of the revolution. So, um, Santiago Alvarez is the son of Mariano Alvarez, a leader of the Magdiwang faction in Cavite. So according to him, the cry of rebellion happened in Bahay Turo in Quezon City on August 24, 1896. Next is Pio Valenzuela, was a significant Katipunero and close ally to Andres Bonifacio, playing an important role in the Philippine Revolution against Spanish colonial rule. As a physician and propagandist, he helped spread revolutionary ideas and assisted in organizing the Katipunan's effort, even serving as Bonifacio's emissary to seek support from Jose Rizal. So, Pio Valenzuela, a key figure in the Katipunan, stated that the cry of rebellion took place in Pugad Lawin on August 23, 1896, where Filipino revolutionaries gathered to initiate their fight against Spanish rule. According to Valenzuela, it was heard that Andres Bonifacio and his followers tore their cédulas as a symbolic act of defiance, marking the beginning of open rebellion. Is Gregorio Zaidi, was a renowned Filipino historian and author who extensively documented the history of the Philippines, especially the lives of national heroes like Jose Rizal, known for his accessible writing style. Zaidi's work have been widely used in Philippine education, helping shape historical understanding for generations. So Gregorio Zaidi identified the cry of rebellion as having occurred in Balintawak on August 26, 1896, where Filipino revolutionaries led by Andres Bonifacio openly declared their defiance against Spanish colonial rule. According to Zaidi, it was at Balintawak that the revolutionaries tore their cédulas, marking the official start of the Philippines. And Chidoro Agoncillo was a prominent Filipino historian and nationalist, best known for his works on the Philippine Revolution and the fight for independence. His book, The Revolt of the Masses, is widely regarded as a seminal work that emphasized the role of ordinary Filipinos, particularly Andres Bonifacio and the Katipunan in the struggle against Spanish colonial rule. According to Teodoro Agoncillo, the cry of rebellion took place in Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896, where Andres Bonifacio and the Katipunan members gathered to declare the revolt against Spanish colonial rule. Agoncillo's research emphasized that it was in Pugadlawin where the revolutionaries stored their cedulas, marking the official start of the Philippine Revolution. Also, according to the research of the three historians, Milagros Guerrero, Emmanuel Encarnacion, Ramon Villegas, claimed that the event took place in Tandag Soras Barn in Gulod, Barangay Banlat, Quezon City, on August 24, 1896.
Primary source: Accounts of the Cry. Guillermo Masangkay, a Filipino revolutionary, was among the first to recount the significant event known as the Cry of Pugadlawin, which marked the beginning of the Philippine Revolution against the Spanish colonial rule. According to Masangkay, on August 26, a big meeting was held in Balintawak at the house of Apolonio Samson, then Cabiza in the barrio of Caloocan. He was present at the meeting led by Andres Bonifacio, the founder of the Katipunan, a secret revolutionary society. He remembered who attended. It was Andres Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, Aguido del Rosario, Tomas Remigio, Bricio Pantas, Teodoro Plata, Pio Valenzuela, Enrique Pacheco, and Francisco Carrion. They were all leaders of the Katipunan and composed the board of directors of the organizations. Delegates from Bulacan, Cabanatuan, Cavite, and Morong were also present. At 9 in the morning of August 26, the meeting was opened with Andres Bonifacio presiding and Emilio Jacinto acting as secretary. The purpose was to discuss when the uprising was to take place. Teodoro Plata, Bricio Pantas, and Pio Valenzuela were all opposed to starting the revolution too early. Despite their commitment to independence, they opposed starting the revolution too early for several reasons. Number one is lack of preparation and resources. So they believed the Katipunan was not yet adequately prepared in terms of weapons, resources, and training. Second is strategic concerns. Plata, Pantas, and Valenzuela were concerned about the strategic disadvantages of launching a revolution without first solidifying alliances and gathering enough support from various provinces. Number 3 is risk of high casualties. They feared that starting the revolution without adequate preparation would result in heavy casualties among the Katipunan's ranks and the civilian population. And last is alternative paths to reforms. Some leaders, including Pio Valenzuela, thought there might still be non-violent means to achieve reforms or gain concessions from the Spanish authorities. So despite their opposition, Andres Bonifacio ultimately decided to push forward, believing that the time for action had come. This decision led to the Cry of Pugadlawin, marking the formal start of the Philippine Revolution in 1896. Bonifacio, sensing that he would lose in the discussion, then left the session hall and talked to the people, who were waiting outside for the result of the meeting of the leaders. He told the people that the leaders were arguing against starting the revolution early and appealed to them in a fiery speech in which he said, "You remember the fate of our countrymen who were shot in Bagumbayan. Should we return now to the towns, the Spaniards will only shoot us. Our organization has been discovered and we are all marked men. If we don't use the uprising, the Spaniards will get us anyway. What then, do you say?" "Revolt," the people shouted as one. Masangkay describes how Bonifacio and other Katipunan members, frustrated by the worsening situation under Spanish rule and inspired to fight for independence, symbolically tore up their cedula as an act of defiance. Tearing the cedula was a rejection of Spanish oppression and a declaration of their resolve to achieve freedom even if it meant war. So Bonifacio then asked the people to give a pledge that they were to revolt. He told them that the sign of slavery of the Filipinos were the cedula tax charged each citizen. If it is true that you are ready to revolt, I want to see you destroy your cedulas. It will be a sign that all of us have declared our severance from the Spaniards. Pio Valenzuela. This controversial version of the cry of the Pugadlawin has been authorized by no other than Dr. Pio Valenzuela, who happened to be the eyewitness himself of the event. In his first version, he told that the prime staging point of the cry was in Balintawak on Wednesday, August 26, 1896. He held this account with the happenings or events are still vivid in his memory. On the other hand, later in his life and with a fading memory, he wrote his memoirs of the revolution without consulting the written documents of the Philippine Revolution and claimed that the cry took place at Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896. The first place of the refuge of Andres Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, Procopio Bonifacio, Teodoro Plata, Aguido del Rosario, and myself were Balintawak, the first 5 arriving there on August 19 and 1 on August 20, 1896. The first place where some 500 members of the Katipunan met on August 22, 1896 was the house and yard of Apolonio Samson at Kangkong. Aside from the persons mentioned above, among those who were there were Bricio Pantas, Alejandro Santiago, Ramon Bernardo, Apolonio Samson, and others. Here, views were only exchanged and no resolution was debated or adopted. It was at Pugadlawin, in the house, storehouse, and yard of Juan Ramos, son of Melchora Aquino, were over 1,000 members of the Katipuneros. August 23, 1896, Katipunan met and carried out considerable debate and discussion. On August 29, 1896, the discussion was on whether or not the revolution against the Spanish government. So only one man protested and fought against the war, and that was Teodoro Plata, Bonifacio's brother-in-law. Besides the persons named above, among the present at this meeting were Enrique Cipriano, Alfonso Pacheco, Tomas Remigio, Senforoso San Pedro, and others. After the tumultuous meeting, many of those present tore their cedula and certificates and shouted, "Long live the Philippines! Long live the Philippines!" From the eyewitness accounts presented, there is indeed marked disagreement among historical witnesses as to the place and time of the occurrences of the cry. Using primary and secondary sources, 4 places have been identified: Balintawak, Kangkong, Pugadlawin, and Bahay Turo, while the dates vary from 23, 24, 25, or 26 on August 1986. Valenzuela's account should be read with caution. He once told a Spanish investigator that the cry happened in Balintawak on August 26, 1896. Much later, he wrote in his Memoirs of the Revolution that it happened at Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896. Such inconsistencies in his accounts should always be seen as a red flag when dealing with the primary sources. According to Guerrero, Encarnacion, and Villegas, all these places are in Balintawak, then part of Caloocan, now in Quezon City. As for the dates, Bonifacio and his troops may have been moving from one place to another to avoid being located by the Spanish government, which could explain why there are several accounts of the cry. Conclusions. The cry of the rebellion marked the start of the Philippine Revolution in 1896, which eventually led to the independence of the country in 1898. This event showed not just the bravery and courage of the Filipino people, but also utilized the unity of the Filipinos, which is rooted in the thirst for their independence. It was a cry for freedom, as they finally realized their need to fight to prove themselves and be called truly free men. So that is the last part of our discussion. Do you have any questions and clarifications? Thank you for listening.